Cold War has turned hot overnight. In the early hours of June
Bell and Iceblade? Wait, can Iceblade really speak Japanese? Really?
13th, Israel launched preemptive strikes on Iran. Multiple explosions were heard across Tehran, with online footage showing blasts lighting up the capital. But the fire that started in the city didn't stop there. Additional explosions occurred in Isfahan, Tabriz, Kermanshah, Hamadan, Qom, and Piranshah, cities that host nuclear, military, or strategic sites. Separate strikes also hit the Natanz nuclear.
Editing in this video is goated. I know, okay, it really stimulates my autistic ADHD brain.
Nuclear site, the Arak heavy water reactor, and the Parchin military complex. Satellite imagery, for instance, shows considerable but likely superficial damage at Natanz. Either way, the initial 24 hours have been nothing short of a disaster for the Iranians. Israeli jets are flying almost uncontested over Iranian airspace. Mossad operatives are roaming freely, launching drones and anti-tank guided missiles at key Iranian systems, all while Hezbollah remains on the sidelines. Already, multiple senior nuclear scientists and high-ranking military leaders have been killed. As was bound to happen, Iran responded harshly.
Why is the music so heroic? Because it is heroic. The current Iranian regime is kind of shitty, not gonna lie. Okay, the guys from Azerbaijan, the person who made the video, that's kind of based. Aren't they undergoing like a possible ethnic cleansing right now?
And launched waves of loitering munitions and ballistic missiles at Israel. Most of these were intercepted in the air, but some made it through. Tel Aviv was hit multiple times, and significant damage has been reported at Israel's central.
No, they're ethnically cleansing in Azerbaijan, right? They're cleansing Armenians in Azerbaijan.
Military command center. What we're seeing is unlike anything the region has witnessed before. The firepower unleashed makes Hezbollah and Hamas rockets look like toys by comparison. Meanwhile, Netanyahu has urged Israeli citizens to prepare for a prolonged conflict. And so it begins. When sirens replace speeches, war is no longer coming. It has arrived. In the immediate aftermath, Iran launched more than 100 drones toward Israel and vowed further retaliation.
Dude, this might be the end of the current Iranian regime. Dude, it might actually be it. What the fuck? That's crazy. The Iranian terror, okay, is finally ending.
For its part, America has chosen not to intervene.
Dude, I would rather have listen, all right, just replace the current dude. Dude, get the current Iranian regime out of here. What the fuck?
US Secretary of State Marco Rubio insists the US had no role in the attacks, while President Trump is urging Iran to make a deal or face even more brutal attacks. This may well be a good cop, bad cop negotiating tactic. Around 260 media outlets reported on this story, most of them right-leaning. This is also how governments negotiate when they try to talk without saying things directly. They employ the media. But even so, reaching a deal now will be difficult. Among the casualties is Ali Shamkhani, a close confidant of the supreme leader and Iran's chief
dude, this guy looks like a friendly uncle.
Nuclear negotiator. So there's a lot to piece together when it comes to understanding what's coming next. I use ground news to connect the dots because it allows me to check out local and regional sources. I truly believe that is the best way to understand this tricky region. I can't stress enough how important this is, which is why I asked Ground News to sponsor this video. I mainly browse the Blind Spot page, where they share lots of interesting stories that other news outlets often miss due to biased reporting. Go to ground.news/Caspian or download the mobile app and enter promo.
Ignore the ad plug? I think that, okay, I usually do not skip ads, okay? Because if you spend a lot of time on a video, then yeah, you deserve to have your ad played, in my opinion, okay? If it's too long, I'll skip it. If I don't think you deserve the attention, I skip it. If I'm roasting your video, I skip it. But otherwise, yeah, you know what? If you spend a lot of time, you're a hardworking content creator, I won't skip it. You know? Do you not have sponsor? Why the fuck would I? No. No, I make sure there's a jump ahead button, okay? But I'm not gonna click
code Caspian to save 40% off the Vantage plan. Also, by subscribing, you're directly
They get paid even if you don't watch sponsor. No, I know that. Yes, I know that.
supporting my channel. Thank you, Ground News. The link is below. As of this time, the full extent of Israel's attack on Iran is still unknown. The initial strikes appear to have targeted radars, air defenses, aircraft, and control towers, which paves the way for follow-up attacks on secondary sites. Israel's attention will now turn to the secondary targets of strategic and economic nature, such as ports.
But you know what I should do? I'm changing the stream title to Israel is rage baiting, okay? In honor of winter. Okay.
Refineries, and missile factories. The Israeli military said as much when it described the operation as the first stage, signaling that more attacks could follow in the next few days, if not weeks. But even if Israel's next wave of attacks is tactically successful, dismantling Iran's nuclear program entirely would require direct American involvement. Without US involvement, Israel can't do it. At best, they might delay Iran's progress by 1 to 2 years. At worst, the strikes could backfire, prompting Iran to rapidly assemble a crude nuclear device as a deterrent against future attacks. Though Israel claims its goal is to take out Iran's nuclear program and prevent it from building a nuclear bomb, its actions suggest a deeper objective: regime change. All the Israeli attacks have so far targeted IRGC officials while avoiding the leadership of Iran's regular armed forces, which may be a calculated attempt at divide and rule. You see, the Revolutionary Guards and the regular military often operate at odds, with the IRGC holding dominance in both political and economic spheres. So, by degrading the IRGC, Israel may be trying to provoke internal friction, perhaps even encouraging the regular military to turn against the Revolutionary Guards in a bid for power.
I mean,
tellingly,
I mean, they're literally trying to do this, right? Like, we don't even need to we don't even need to pretend. Didn't Israel say to Iranian citizens, "This is your chance to rise up. We are liberating you right now from your current regime"? Like, isn't that literally the message that they're sending across? Like, yeah, it's not like they're hiding it, right? Like, they're literally saying, "Yeah, we're coming to liberate you."
Israel's campaign is called Operation Rising Lion, which is likely a nod to the pre-revolution Iranian flag and suggests that regime change may be the ultimate objective. Whether that gamble pays off is another question entirely. Comparably, Tehran...
Dude, I've talked about this before, but how powerful do you think the CIA really is? I really don't think they're that powerful, dude. It is... Like, maybe they are, like, involved in plans to, like, see, like, which government agents are in place to have a certain dictator in charge of some third world country. But, like, bro, they gave us Google Earth, okay? It's fucking Google Earth. Do you not want Google Earth? They gave us Google Earth, okay?
Strategy is also regime change, but through more legal means. The Iranians know they can't change Netanyahu's mind, but
like to this day, dude, to this day, the CIA couldn't change, they couldn't assassinate Kim Jong-un, okay? They couldn't assassinate Putin. Sorry, now they're working with Putin, I guess, but like... Yeah, fuck, I don't even know, right? Like, fuck, there could be so many things they could do if they're so powerful, but they aren't. All right, that is directly within the United States interests, okay? It isn't... Yeah, fuck.
They might just be able to collapse his government by building up domestic pressure and triggering a vote of no confidence. To do this...
Also, if they know everything, why didn't they prevent 9/11? Fuck. I mean, that was when CIA was a little bit more unhinged back then, right? Why didn't they prevent 9/11? Why didn't they prevent why didn't they know about the Ukrainian drone strike Operation Spiderweb? Like, why didn't they know about that? I feel like they would have told Putin by now.
Iranians will need to deliver maximum harm to Israel, but do so by focusing on infrastructure, military and leadership targets while avoiding civilian sites as much as possible, which may be difficult in practice. And so the Iranians will want to launch waves of missiles at Israel day after day in the hope that it might lead to a vote of no confidence. This would be a political victory that helps Tehran save face and boost its
because they want pretext to invade Iraq and prop up the petrodollar since Hussein was selling oil for euros and gold. See, this is the issue, okay? It's kind of like Destiny says, all roads lead to Rome, okay? Because no matter how you justify it, no matter how a sequence of events play out in the world, it's always the CIA fault. There is no evidence that you can ever look at where you would go, yeah, you know what? I don't think the CIA is that powerful, right? This is the problem with trying to prove a negative, right? Or prove a negative, I guess, because it's like me telling you, can you prove that you didn't rape somebody? Like, you haven't raped ever in your life? You can't, right? It's just like saying, can you prove that the CIA isn't this powerful? No, the burden of proof should be on you to provide proof that, the CIA is actually that powerful. Like, that's the problem with CIA conspiracy theories, is that all roads lead to Rome and everything is like self-justified, in of itself, right?
position in future negotiations. But again,
I
there
read
is
it,
no
Wintermute.
guarantee
It literally reinforces my idea. I'm sorry.
that
Okay?
it would work. Regime change is less
Yeah,
a
that's it.
strategy than a roll of the dice.
All roads lead to Rome. I get it.
The behavior of both Iran and Israel in the coming weeks will depend on a mix of military, political, regional and strategic factors. Even a slight shift in one variable, like a US statement of support,
But Matsigan, they gave us Google Earth.
could trigger ripple effects that drastically alter their next moves. In such a volatile moment, weak retaliation from Iran won't deter Israel, but a strong one risks drawing America into the war. That's precisely what Israel may try to provoke, escalating in hopes of pulling America in. By contrast, Iran will likely aim to respond in a way that shows strength and re-establishes deterrence while avoiding a wider conflict. What the Iranians will likely want are strikes that preserve an off-ramp for de-escalation, for example.
Bro, I actually unironically wish the CIA was as powerful as other lefties say. I'm not even joking, okay? Because trust me, if the CIA was as powerful, I feel like at some point in the past, the CIA would have already, like, done regime change in Russia, all right? Yeah, like, fuck. Putin wouldn't even come to power in the first place. Because back then they had, like, a huge grudge against anything that is related to Russia, right? They had a huge grudge that was anything related to the USSR. Like, there's no way to reason around that unless you say, oh, well, but don't you know they wanted Putin to come in, so then they have a justified reason to keep around NATO or something. Like, some kind of stupid, retarded reason like that. Like, fuck. If they're all powerful, they should have assassinated Putin the moment he came out. Like, fuck. Anyway.
By
I mean, in Minecraft, okay? I don't advocate for death, okay?
giving advance warning to the United States and regional countries. It took a similar approach during Operation True Promise in
No. It's not about whether or not they knew how many nukes the CIA, Russia had, okay? It's how many functional nukes Russia has. Because you see, maintaining nukes is extremely expensive and highly specialized. And a silly little authoritarian regime will have difficulty maintaining nuclear silos, okay? So it's like, if you don't do regular tests, okay, you're not going to get anything done, all right? So, yeah, I don't know. It's like they have at least one, I'm sure. But like the thing, that's why, they're still considered a nuclear power. So does China probably, right? The problem is that like it's just really difficult to maintain these things, okay? Like that's it. And a lot of times Russia's bluffing by saying they have a lot more than they actually have.
April.
And in a way, again, the fear of nukes became the nuke itself, right? It became more destructive and killed more people than any nuke explosion in history. Because the fear of nukes have, like, justified more wars, killed more people, right? Like, yeah, fuck. Which is why you shouldn't let the threat of nukes intimidate you into submitting to, like, authoritarian regimes, right?
2024, when it launched a large-scale drone and missile attack on Israel, but avoided triggering a wider conflict. So, at this stage, it's a matter of sustainment versus escalation. Israel may have deflected much of—
If the CIA was so powerful, and I truly wish this was the case, okay? If the CIA was so powerful, they would have gotten rid of China's nukes, okay? I'm not seriously, okay? They would have got rid of China's nukes. I don't know, dude. They would have assassinated China's, like, nuclear scientists, but they haven't. So, you know what? Fuck it. All right, which in turn leads to the Uyghur genocide because no one's willing to do a lick about it because China has nukes. Okay.
Of Iran's first few waves of attacks, but its stockpile of interceptors won't.
Also, I like how everyone talks about the CIA, but no one ever talks about, like, Chinese operatives kidnapping and executing people, nor do they talk about Russian operatives doing the same, nor do they talk about North Koreans kidnapping Japanese citizens and then, like, shipping them. No one ever talks about these other secret agencies that are doing shit. It's all CIA. Okay, dude.
Hold out forever. Iran can try to wear down Israeli defenses, fire enough missiles at enough targets, and some will inevitably get through. However, Iran will face attrition of its own. Drones are plentiful, but relatively easy to shoot down. Ballistic missiles are far more destructive and harder to intercept, but they're not easily replaced. Iran is believed to have an arsenal of around 3,000 ballistic missiles. While not all have the range to reach Israel.
Also, why would you ever cheer on Iran? Because, dude, they are allied with Russia. Russia is cucked. Okay, all right. So, I fully support the downfall of Iran. Okay, or Iran. Whatever.
Enough could break through Israeli and U.S. air defenses to inflict serious damage and force.
Dude, the same drones that are used to, like, attempt to kill, like, cool ass people like Ukrainian Anna. Are you kidding me? Listen. All right, screw politics, screw everything, screw the CIA, screw everything, okay? I don't care about anything, okay? I only care about keeping Ukrainian Anna alive, okay? So then she can hop into Destiny's streams, all right? In order to keep her alive, we have to get rid of the Shahed drones, okay? The Shahed drones come from Iran, supplied by Iran, okay? So therefore, we have to take down Iran because we need to keep Ukrainian Anna alive, okay? That's it.
Netanyahu's political
That's all
hand.
I want.
So again, it comes down to a strategy of sustainment versus escalation. In years past, Iran wouldn't have relied solely on its missiles. Its first line of defense was its network of Arab proxies, specifically Hezbollah. But after a year of fighting with Israel, Hezbollah is now much weaker. Many of its leaders have been killed, and much of it—
Do you know why they're weaker? Because anger comes in short bursts, okay? I truly believe that this is a case of human psychology at play, okay? I believe that when you base your regime and you base your militaries off of very strong emotions like rage and anger, they never last because these emotions never last forever either. It's really hard to sustain, you know, really authoritarian dictatorships without, like, constant propaganda and reminding of like what's at stake. Oh, you don't understand. This is about the victims or whatever the fuck, right? But, like, it's really, dude, it's just that, like, sorry, if your government isn't based off of happiness, it's not gonna last, okay? This is why everything should be happy, all right? Happy bombs, okay? Instead of anger bombs. All right, I'm just saying, it is also a matter. It is also a matter of psychology. Okay?
Its hierarchy has been infiltrated by Mossad agents. Hezbollah still has a large missile and rocket arsenal, but using them now would be politically risky. The Lebanese government is struggling to rebuild and has warned Hezbollah not to drag the country into another war on Iran's behalf. Thus, Hezbollah is sitting this one out. Alternatively, to re-establish deterrence, Iran—
Just for the record, okay? Like, even if I got something— Okay, I'll be a little hurt if my IQ test turned out to be 95 below average or 90 below average. But, you know, I'm secure enough in myself, okay? I'll probably say so. I would be a little hurt, but look, I'm just saying, okay? All right? Yeah.
Could employ its proxies.
But you know what I tell myself? I tell myself that Short Fat Otaku got like 123 on that same test. And as far as I'm concerned, okay, I think my opinions are better than Short Fat Otaku's no matter what, okay? Call it Dunning-Kruger, okay?
To launch a series of attacks on American forces stationed in Jordan, Syria, and Iraq. At the same time, the Houthis in Yemen could launch missiles at Israel and possibly target remaining US naval ships in the Red Sea. However, this would be a terribly risky move. Directly attacking US assets could prompt retaliation against the Iranian leadership, something akin to the January 2020 assassination of Quds Force commander Qasem Soleimani. The end result could see the US Air Force doing even more damage than Israel's airstrikes. Another way for Iran.
Oh yeah, remember when Iran promised that they're gonna get vengeance for that general guy and they never did? Dude.
To establish deterrence, and less expected, would be to strike US allies in the Gulf region. For example, Iran could use its proxies to attack oil facilities in Saudi Arabia like it did in 2019, or hit targets in the UAE as it did in 2022. Attacking the oil and gas infrastructure in the Gulf region.
Putin has a nuclear briefcase he takes with him everywhere. You also forget about the fact that Putin also is a massive coward, okay? That is the main reason for everything, all right? This guy, the moment that he knew that a part of his military turned on him and is coming to Moscow or making their way to Moscow, he got out of there as fast as he could, okay? Because he's a coward. Meanwhile, Chad Zelensky stays, all right? Chad Zelensky, thank you, okay? Jesus.
Including ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz would almost certainly.
Iran has talked a big game, but they never had the ability to actually respond. Dude, just look at Twitter. Iran is just all bark, okay? Like, literally. Like, they're literally crashing out on Twitter. They're unironically, they're having a Twitter crash out. Iran is having a fucking Twitter crash out, okay?
Cause oil prices to surge. In such
Like they're schizo posting every 4 hours. Like, it's some unhinged shit. Not alpha male behavior, okay? Like, it's literally like they're whining, okay? And they're saying, I will devour, just like if Israel was their ex-girlfriend or something, you know?
Such a scenario,
Did you read
Gulf
the last Trump post? No.
leaders who have pledged hundreds of billions in investments to the United States would likely push Trump to rein in Israel and halt its attacks on Iran. There is no guarantee that it would work, but sometimes
everyone will feel it. Well, guess what? I feel a little tingle, all right? At most, I'm getting a little bit of a tingle, all right? A little, you know, maybe, but that's probably my seat, okay? More than I ran.
The shortest path to victory goes through someone else's backyard. Having said that, any Iranian...
Oh yeah, by the way, do you know why? Do you know why the propaganda of horrible militaries are so good? It's because that shit is much easier to access because propaganda is a weapon, okay? It's a weapon of war. But that thing is so much easier to access than trying to develop nuclear missiles or something, okay? Having a good propaganda system is much easier and pays off, like the return of, like the rate of return, right? Like the dividends, okay? The dividends come back many magnifold of what you put in terms of propaganda, right? So it makes it totally worth it. Yeah, I totally understand. Then versus something like actually trying to do, like, make real nuclear missiles, right?
Attack on Gulf Arab states, while possible, would likely end the improving diplomatic ties Iran has worked to build with those countries in recent.
That's exactly how advertising works as well. Yeah, which is exactly why Serbia sucks, okay? Their propaganda is so good, they brainwashed my boy Wintermute, okay? But you see, Serbia lost every war, okay? All right, anyway.
Years. So every form of retaliation carries some risk of blowback. Yet, perhaps the strongest form of deterrence for Iran would be to conduct a nuclear test. It would signal to both Israel and the United States that Iran is no longer bluffing about its nuclear ambitions, but it would also provoke international outrage, trigger new sanctions, and deepen Iran's isolation. Still, if the Iranian government sees its survival at stake, the supreme leader may decide the cost is worth it. A nuclear test would force the Israelis and Americans to weigh the risk of turning a conventional conflict into a nuclear one.
Oh, nah.
At the very least, Tehran may opt for a non-kinetic response, one that signals nuclear intent.
Bro, I'm sorry, but World War III assumes that the other side is actually powerful enough to have a sustained world war, okay? Enough for other people to join in. Or enough split factions for other people to join in. Alright, if China joins in, then yeah, it'll be a world war, okay? But not Iran. What the fuck? Dude, the size of Iran is like half the size of Texas, okay? I can drive across Texas in like 8 hours, okay?
But keeps it ambiguous enough to avoid immediate escalation. Iranian officials have long warned they would leave the non-proliferation treaty if their nuclear program came under military attack. That moment may now be near. Overall, the course of both Israeli and Iranian actions in the coming weeks will depend on the scale and intensity of what each side does next. The longer the attacks continue and the more damage they inflict, the smaller the window for de-escalation. With every strike and counterstrike, controlling what comes next grows more difficult, because despite best efforts, precision strikes.
Iran's country shape has a very Virgin posture. Really? Yeah, kind of, yes.
Rarely end with precision outcomes. I've been your host Shirvan from Caspian Report. If you approve of what we do, please leave a comment.
Cool, thanks. You know how World Wars start? When other alliances join other like allied countries in a war where they really commit to the cause of a massive world shift, okay? As far as I'm concerned, okay, no one is helping Iran. Why are they not helping Iran? Because Iran is cocked and they are the bully and no one likes them. Okay, because they're stinky. All right, that's why. Okay, cool. I should look it up. Iran is double the size of Texas, if not triple. Okay, fine. All right, so it's Texas and New Mexico. All right, I get it. Okay, fine. It's Texas and California. Okay. Psh, so what? So what? All right, Texas and California. That's nothing. Okay. 90 million people. Psh, so what? So it's less than double California's population. Get him out. Get him out. Okay. Also, like for the records, the people are suffering under the Iranian regime. Okay, no women's rights. Women's rights. What's that? It's gone. Okay, that's what. All right. How many is the size of Alaska?